Here we go. Charge. Hello. Maybe somebody's there, maybe somebody's not. I'm just getting set up. This is the first webcast that I'm doing. So I think we're good to go. I got myself a little background music because it makes me relaxed. And yeah, we're streaming. So I'm Travis. I'm the founder of Flow. I will introduce myself here. A lot of you know me already because maybe we've met on one-on-ones, or we've been talking on Slack, or interacting over our Zendesk or something like that. But just a super nutshell about who I am. I am a designer, engineer, researcher. I have a couple degrees in the arts, one in interaction design, another one in interface cultures. In the past, I've worked for some pretty awesome places like the Ars Electronica Future Lab. And I've even run my own interaction design studio called Logic and Form. Today I run Flow, and I have a lot of experience in this sort of design and interaction and animation and production space. And, you know, with Flow, we've been working on it for a long time, and it's in my opinion, it's pretty awesome. It really starts to bridge this gap between design and development, this space where I've found myself sitting for a really long time. Like example, at the Future Lab, I had this position where I was sort of the translator between the creative department and the engineering department on some projects. So I would do a little bit of programming, and I would discuss back and forth, you know, what are the problems coming in from engineering, and what are the problems coming or the ideas coming out of the artistic side, and help just both teams communicate. And Flow is sort of this extension. I can get into that in a longer podcast or webcast or whatever. I can get into a longer version of that. But yeah, in my opinion, Flow is an extension of all this stuff that I've been working on for a super long time. Okay, cool. So what's the point of these webcasts? Well, it's to promote animation, to promote other people's great work, to teach and to learn. I will be teaching, you'll be learning, you'll be teaching me things, and I'll be learning from you as well. So it's for everybody, back and forth. And in a nutshell, other things that we'll be doing will be answering questions and showcasing shots like this one that we did on Dribble, I'll show in a minute. Recreating animations. So one of the ways that I practice animation is by going onto Dribble and finding something cool that I like that I don't know how to do, and trying to recreate that thing. So from time to time, maybe we'll have like a longer cast where it's just me trying to decipher an animation and get close to it and rebuild that thing. And then we'll also discuss different animation techniques. Like we have this Dribble account, and I'll show you again in a minute or two, that has a lot of shots in it, and each one has different effects and techniques. And so if you're trying to achieve something and you see something on our site, it's like, how did you do that? Well, we could go ahead, we can download the file, and I can just talk about it. Sometimes people often ask me, it's like, oh, how do I recreate this effect? And I'll look at it, and I'll sort of find maybe 2 or 3 different ways in my head of doing it, and then rebuild it, and then let you guys know how we do that. And then again, we're going to try and keep all of the content here relatively high level and something that you could apply whether or not you're using Flow. But we will obviously be using Flow as the software. Yeah, and in addition to that, we'll also be introducing new features and things like that, and all the stuff that we're doing with Flow. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of things that I was just talking about. And for instance, actually, one thing that I want to do is I'm just going to go to the event myself and see if anybody has any questions on either one of the pages. General. If anybody does. Okay. And I'm going to go over here and hit up the Vimeo event as well. Huh. Aid! Hi! Long time no type. Have you been watching F1? Awesome. And so let's see what's going on here. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? No, none so far. Okay, so let's just talk about what we are doing today with Flow. Okay, so one of the, let me just see here. One of the things I was talking about recreating animations is this one. Oleg Frolov makes these beautiful works. I mean, if we just go and click on his portfolio on Dribble, it's just butter. It's like if you could take a stick of butter and put it on my eyes. This is this kind of stuff that he does. Awesome work. He's always doing these beautiful experiments, and I really like to often look at his work, and everybody else's too, but try and recreate certain animations. And one of the ones that he did recently was this processing animation. And what I ended up doing is I saw it one morning and I thought, wow, that'd be really cool to recreate. How do you actually get that effect? What is the effect of these like bars coming this way? And how do you get like one side to split apart like that? Well, I spent a little bit of time digging into it, and then ended up creating the animation in Flow this way. Here, you can just download. What I'll often try to do on our site is when I post something here in Dribble, I'll also provide the animation as well, the animation file. So here's the animation file. Okay. And I can just zoom in here. And then today I'm not going to go into how I did this, but I'm just showing you in general. These are one of the things that we might do on any given day with these webcasts, is just go ahead and try and recreate somebody's animation. So here's just my version of how that works. Okay. And then there's a couple of different animation techniques, and like how do you get your animations to be nice and sort of smoothly distributed like this. These are the kinds of techniques that we'll dive into when we do these recreations. Let's have a look. Any more sort of cues? It has been a crazy season. It's been crazy. The last two races were insane, by the way. They were crazy. Okay. So what else are we going to do? Obviously, we are going to let you know what's going on with Flow. So one of the things that we have been doing lately is just producing, or like trying to get all of the content that we've produced into the same space, because we've just been producing a bunch of stuff. So for instance, I've added a couple of pages to our site. They're not listed yet on the menu, but they are there. For instance, just spent a lot of time making these all of these new videos. There's 29 new intro videos that I recorded along with the help of James Milo, and we posted them. We posted them on our Vimeo account. Where is it? / create with Flow. And so we'll have these showcases here. There's a couple different showcases that we have. This one in particular is going to be the basics one. And where's the link? This is not the one that you would see. Share. Does this go to the manage because I'm signed in? I hope not. No, yeah, there you go. So there's a bunch of videos here. So there's 29 right now. And they just sort of break down really important concepts that you would need to know if you're starting out with Flow. But at the same time, there's lots of stuff in these. So even if you're a vet with Flow, you'll probably find something that you'll learn out of these anyways. So for instance, like here's the coordinate system, and somebody was asking on our Slack channel today about just lots of questions were coming in today on the general channel, which was super cool. And one of them was about relative mode. So now we have a video on what relative mode is. So relative mode is a pretty important concept for you to understand when you're working with Flow. And there's a video here about that. Okay, so that all came from our site right now. That's createwithflow.com/basics. And when I get a little bit less lazy, I will get this up as an actual link onto it. Each one of these is going to just link you straight to the Vimeo video. So if I went down to the relative mode one and I clicked on it, that's just going to take you back to this page that we were just looking at, and you can watch it from there. Another one that I have put up recently is I'm just trying to figure out how to get all of our dribble shots onto our page so that if somebody visits, they can see all the stuff that we've done. So here you go. This is more or less the same concept. It's just all our shots, and if you click on it, it will take you to the dribble page for that one as well. And then we'll discuss like these projects that we did before. These are some checkbox projects that we did with iOS, because there's an actual iOS checkbox export that we can use with Flow sometime soon, and it's super cool. And then here's the rest of our animations that we've made over the years. And so, for instance, here is like one simple technique with this one. Is like, how do you get this effect to happen? You know, how do you get when you're looking at something like this, what do you think of as a designer? You're like, oh, well, the one on the left, it shrinks and then it moves over to the one on the right, and then it opens, and we just do that over and over 4 times, and then we loop that whole animation, which that's exactly how it looks. But there's probably a really simpler way of doing that thing. Maybe the animation is just one motion or one simple movement of all of those things, and you just loop that instead of thinking about it as this looping thing that's constantly going. So there's this really interesting blend between aesthetics, like looking at stuff, and structuring it in a way to build it as an animation in the easiest way possible. And we'll be diving into things like that eventually as well. And let's see. Okay, that's great. What else is there we can talk about? Oh yeah, we got a bunch of experiments and stuff on our page, and then obviously some other things. This is not the developer version of Flow. Flow.app. Where is it? Probably the debug version. We've been adding a couple of new things to Flow as well over the last couple of days. Some really simple ones that people were asking for. Tim Kammerer asked for something that was absolutely obvious that we should have done a little while ago. So let's just add a circle, and let's just say we're going to animate it right in the middle here, and we want that size to be... Oh, this might not be the right one. Let's see, 360 plus 2. Yeah, 362. So you can now put expressions inside of any text field that has numbers in it. So 100 times 5, right? 500 divided by 12, whatever you need it to be. You can do it there like that now. Another really cool thing is... Somebody asked, is it possible to export a GIF so that it not only loops, but it does the animation forward and then backwards and then loops? And yeah, okay, so spent a little bit of time the other day working on that. And so now, let's say we had like a 1/4 second animation. And we're just going to scale that down. And this is our animation. Let's say it starts something like this. It's going to go down to that. And now if I export a GIF, I should have this reverses option, which will be part of the premium, or sort of like the pro stuff. So if you have the media tier or any higher tier other than free, you'll get that. So when it reverses and loops, well, let's just do without loops first. And we're going to animate that, and there you go. Goes down and comes back up. But let's slow that down a little bit. Actually, that was a little bit too fast. Not sure if that's going to come through. Okay, so that's the animation. Okay, it's a 1 second animation that just goes down to a little oval. And we're going to hit that. And we're going to re-export that thing. And we're going to replace it. There you go. So that's just the forward looping version. And if I do this again and we hit reverses and turns off loops, replace that, it's going to go backwards. Okay, so it's going to animate all the way forwards and then all the way backwards. And if we hit the loops, then it's just going to loop the whole thing over and over again. Just like that. So now you won't need, so if your animations are really simple, you won't need to recreate the reverse for any media-based one. So you can do this with APNGs. You can also do it with, wow, my brain is turning off right now, with movies. Aha! Great. Okay, so what else? What else are we going to do here today? We are going to talk about, yeah, maybe some things that are coming up with Flow. So I'm working on a couple of new features as well, but for the majority of the rest of the month and leading into September, content. We're going to be working on content. Why? Because we found over the last few months, a lot of new people have been starting up with Flow, and there's lots of stuff to cover. There's tons and tons of little details, not only inside the app to learn about the app, but also just like even weird things. Like there was a question today about bringing about Flow not exporting lines to about not exporting lines to HTML. Like somebody imported something from Figma and exported that to HTML, and there wasn't, they couldn't see the lines, right? So let's just create a new project. I'm going to create a new design file and an artboard here, and I'm going to make a vertical line just like that. And let's make it 10 points wide, just like this. Okay, let's just center that thing like this. We're going to save that. We're going to title it line, and we're going to grab this. We're going to copy this link. We're going to go into Flow. We're going to create a new project from the Figma file. I'm going to paste that in there. And we're going to import frame 1. We're going to add it. And now we're going to export that straight to HTML and see what happens. Okay, we're not doing anything else. We're just exporting, which is actually one of the cool things about Flow is, you know, you get all these other projects like Sketch to React and Sketch to this and this to that and whatever. But honestly, if you have a timeline and you are exporting from Flow, you can just go ahead, not even animate, and you get all the CSS, all the HTML code, everything to do the layout. And you can even get that stuff for iOS and stuff like that as well. So it's super cool. Okay, so right on, there you go. Double click, no line, right? So, hey, there's a bug in Flow. Flow isn't exporting lines to HTML. Not the case, okay? I'm gonna make a point about this. Not the case. But how do you know that? As a user, it looks like there's a bug with Flow. But really, there's all these nuances between design tools, Flow itself, and any kind of exported software. So what was the issue? We looked into it together. And what was the issue? Well, it actually comes from Figma. Okay. And this is one of the things you only learn if you've run into this situation before. But look at this right here. See this? 88 by 0. Figma treats a vertical line as having no width. And when you are in Flow, what Flow does is it says it's absolutely not possible to have a layer that has no width. There has to be some sort of width there. There just has to be. So what Flow does is it makes it 0.01. But what makes it not appear in HTML, okay, when we do that, let's go back over here. What makes it not appear here is that it's there. We're going to view the page source, okay. Actually, no, we want to inspect so we can see them side by side. it's actually there. And here it is, and here's our artboard, and there's the layer, and here's the SVG for that layer. And right up there, you see over top of it, it says 0 by 88. Well, let's fix that. The way that I fixed it was I said width 1px. Did that work? No, it was this, right? Something here does it. Anyways, if you come back into Flow, you turn on relative mode, which we talked about being important. Oops. Also, Figma does some very strange things. A vertical line, if you can see this, a vertical line in Figma is a 90-degree rotated horizontal line inside of whatever. So the height here was 0.01. So if I had gone back here and we said the height is 1px, then it appears. Okay, so SVG is interpreting SVG in the browser is interpreting that SVG as having no width because it's rounding that 0.01 down to 0. You can fix that in Flow. If you take this and you turn on relative mode and you change the height to 1, and then you just export again one time. Okay, so this is the export again. I'm just going to go back to the page. I'm going to refresh, and now that line is appearing. Okay, so there's these kind of things that we'll talk about along the way as well. This sort of blend between production design and getting things into code or getting into the right format. You might often need an SVG or a Lottie file or something else, and we can figure these things out together. Oh, okay. So we're going to keep these podcasts short as well. Yeah, we're going to keep these podcasts short, or these webcasts short as well. So we're just about at the end for today. It's just going to be about 20 minutes a day. We'll pick one or two topics and just talk about those. You can post in the Slack channel. You can add messages here, send an email, and maybe I'll pick that thing to do for the next day. And we'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to give it a shot. If I don't show up one of these days, sorry for that, but I'll do my best to be here at this time, at least this time for now, for the next couple days and weeks. And if we can all figure out a better time, then we'll do it. See you soon.